All right, good morning. Welcome to Inside the Huddle.
Good morning.
Steve, great to see you.
Great to see you too, Sean.
We were just talking about missing last Monday. You had to deliver a monologue because I was on a vacation, and it got me thinking. I love getting away. I went and saw family. It was up in Montana. Oh, so peaceful and beautiful. But the odd part about vacation is it takes you out of your routine. And I like my routines. I've spent a long time finally getting myself comfortable with routine. And then when you step out of it, that feels uncomfortable. And I know that we kind of wanted to go into that subject a little bit today and talk about routines and how important they are in the end.
Well, they're terribly important because I think high-minded or highly successful people are really clear about what they do and what's most important in their day. And when you wake up, when you don't have an agenda or you don't have a goal specified, because you could be on vacation to have goals for the day, right?
Sure.
But typically, if you're just exploring, like when I go on vacation, it's one of the reasons I don't like taking cruise ships. I like to just kind of unplug for a bit and unwind. But when you come back, a cruise ship will lay out your day for you.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not my day. And so therein lies a little bit of the power behind you being in charge of your schedule, your routines, your agenda, your goals, because without them, what clarity do you have on anything that you're doing, let alone what you're going to, do for the day, even if you're on vacation or not.
Right. We talk about like the business plan is a roadmap to where we want to be. And in that sense, then the routine is the day-to-day maintenance. The routine is when you start out, you're going to go get in your car and travel all day, and you check the tires and you check the fuel and you set up your radio station. You do all the things that you're going to do to set yourself up for success. I love what you said. That really successful people. I made a note about this. At some point, I thought I might bring it up. So this is as good a time as any. If anyone listening is like me, you'll hear these routines, and a lot of them you'll think, "Wow, that's kind of hokey." Or, that's a little too much of that I'm okay, you're okay stuff. And the funny part is, the really successful people, and and same as you, Steve, we've worked with them, we've coached them, we've listened to them. They stand up there and say, routines are the most important thing I do. I have a morning routine. And then I go home and say, well, I'm a little too cool to be doing that. And all the while, they're getting successful, and I'm being cool. And it finally dawned on my thick head, stop being cool and start being successful.
Well, I think we all have a ceiling of achievement. So your natural abilities only take you so far. So if you have a natural aptitude to work out and exercise, and then the rest of your day starts to tail off because you've mastered that part of your day, but in business, you're not bringing the same discipline or the same clarity. I kind of look at the eyeball as the perfect example. What we see in front of us, we see very clearly. Everything on our peripheral is blurry, not so clear. And so the whole idea here is, what do you have in front of you after you're done with those things that come naturally to you? Because if you're not focusing on those things with intention, then all you'll ever be is what you do naturally. And for some people, Sean, that gets them to a pretty good outcome in life. And for others, not so much. But what I've seen in the talented people that I've coached is they go, I'm so good at this, and that. And I know he or she's not as good at this, and that, yet they're outperforming me. Why is that? Because it's not who they are. It's what they're doing. They're following process schedules. They have clear goals. They have clarity, right? So,
and you said it. You different people have natural ceilings to what they can accomplish. And for some people, your natural talents will take you quite far. But for every single person, if your goal is to live a complete life, what I call a life of personal greatness, then has to go beyond your natural ceiling. No matter what that is for you, there's more past that if you'll take on certain things. And one of them that we're going to talk about today is half a dozen routines. And none of these are difficult. The hardest part about this is saying, okay, I'm going to do it. But the difference, it'll be eye-opening as you adopt this. And you don't have to adopt them all at once, right?
No. I think as you unveil your list there too, I think all of us will realize we're more blind than we think. Right? More of these things are peripheral than are in front of us. So, yeah, I think it's really important. And I think the only thing I would preface anyone who gets uncomfortable with anything that we're about to cover is they've done tests on this. I mean, there have been neurophysicists and psychologists. I mean, the front, when you start to do anything or do anything you're uncomfortable with or don't know, you're using all of your brain. All of it's engaged. As you begin to develop a routine for what it is you're training for and or doing, it moves to the left side, right? So it becomes a little more automatic. And the more you master that, it moves to the very back of your brain. It's kind of like shaving. Like women and men, we both shave. Like when I got up this morning to shave, I wasn't thinking about anything. I just lathered up, grabbed the razor. I got my routine. I don't shave on my left side first. I would start down here and move my way down my neck and make my way all the way around my face. I had to follow the same routine. If I went backwards, it would feel so awkward to me because I'm so accustomed to following that pattern. And so just trust that anything we talk about here, if it doesn't come natural, it's probably Mom Nature's way of saying you might want to pay attention to this.
Right. Put some conscious thought into it first and let it become a routine you don't have to think about.
Well, and we're only going to do, Sean, all of us. So we're all in the same boat here. We're only going to do what's important to us. So that's why it's so important to get clear about what's important to you when you write out your goals or you set out to get clarity on things. As we talked a little bit last week, I think one of the gentlemen on the call, and God forgive me, I can't remember his name, but he said, you're talking about like the one thing. Yeah, that's exactly right. You want your life not to be like that brain that's learning everything right away and it gets really chaotic. You want it to be less. You want it to be natural. You don't want chaos in your head. You want clarity. So
clarity every single day. That is that focus you're talking about. And again, one of the advantages of routines, it frees your mind.
Right. That's it.
Routine creates time. When you're shaving, you don't have to think about it. You can actually use this amazing power of our mind and focus on something you're going to accomplish that day that's not routine. So let's jump into these. We have a few of them. The first one I know we've discussed before, but I'm going to throw it out because it's still the most important one, and that's your morning routine. There's nothing more important, I think, and Steve, chime in, but there's nothing more important than setting yourself up for success. And making the first few steps of your day completely about putting you in the best possible position to have a great day. Right?
And I learned, and for me, if I could just 2 seconds, the best part of my early morning routine starts the night before. And I learned this the hard way some 20 some years ago. And I may have shared this on our huddle, but I'm going to state it again because it was one of the simplest things I've done to help me get clarity is I review my schedule for the next day, the evening before I put my head down on my pillow. So I don't wake up feeling scattered, like what do I have to do today or what meetings do I have? If I look at my schedule, I start the day with much more clarity.
And it allows your brain to relax.
Allows my brain to relax, and it just puts me more at ease, right? So I don't have that noise we were talking about. So it's a simple little routine, but I do it every single day. Well, except Saturdays and Sundays.
It is a routine, and we're going to get to that routine. You're actually talking about the sixth routine of the day. So he's reading you the last page of the book. Ignore that for now.
Sorry, yeah. Don't follow.
But the morning routine, and by the way, we're going to post these. When we post this video of our huddle, we'll also post this as a doc, so you can print it or take it. And the idea, like Steve said, is to take these and make them your own. It doesn't have to be exactly what we're saying. This is a suggestion, and then you customize it to your life. But the morning routine, here's the normal things that you would like to see in it. In no particular order, right? This is you. But first and foremost, some type of rhythmic exercise. And this isn't just because it makes you feel good, but what a lot of us don't realize is your lymphatic system, which is that it's the vacuum cleaner. Your lymph nodes are what gets swollen when you get sick. Your lymphatic system is cleaning your body all night long. It doesn't have its own pump. It's like blood has a heart, and oxygen has the lungs. The lymphatic system doesn't clear until your diaphragm has moved. So rhythmic walking, doing some jump rope, anything that's rhythmic for at least 10 minutes not only will make you feel really good, but it'll clean all those toxins out of your body that your lymphatic system has been working so hard to clean up. So there should be at least 10 minutes of rhythmic exercise, something that gets you centered, whether you do meditation or prayer or just quiet time. Get your day centered and started from a calm place. Another one that Steve, you talk about a lot is gratitudes. Sit for 5 minutes and write down 3 things you're most grateful for today. You cannot come out of gratitudes unhappy. It's not possible. Once you do gratitudes, your whole demeanor will change. I'm big on doing some inspirational reading, even if it's just a paragraph. Somebody I like, somebody that makes you feel good. And then always the biggest one, my suggestion is an affirmation. Have your affirmations in the morning of who you are. And even though you may not be there yet, repeating it to your subconscious mind in the morning primes it. It says, this is who I am becoming. This is who I'm going to be today. And makes it much more likely that you do that.
Can I pop in just for a second on that?
Of course.
Back in, 1989, when I went to a Sweat Hogs program, one of the first things we had to do in session 1 of Sweat Hogs, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's not important, but think of it as a real estate boot camp. The first thing we had to do was take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, stick it in a protective sleeve, the kind that you see in 3-ring binders, stick your goal, your vision sheet into this 3-ring sleeve or this clear sheet to protect it. And you had to carry that on your keychain for 3 weeks. I thought it was the dumbest thing, goofy. I've got a key and I'm walking around. Everyone, what's that? And I've got to walk to the grocery store or wherever I'm at. I got to carry this. That's what I had to do. Now I'm going to just leave it at that and say that I will tell you that anytime I've taken the time to put an affirmation, whether it's in my mirror, where I'm shaving in the morning, I have a little affirmation statement, or if I go as far as to make an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper vision sheet, stick it in that sleeve and carry it with me. Not one time in my life have I not achieved that goal. I'm just telling you, 100%. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. All I know is when you keep that in front of you, day after day after day, you see clearly and you see what's important to you. And it's a little thing that has a big outcome in your clarity and success.
It's almost magical, right?
I can't explain it. So it just goes to show you the power of having something in front of your eyes that's communicating with your brain that says, that's what matters, dum-dum.
One of these days we'll have to do a huddle just on affirmations. We could spend a whole, how to create them for you, how they have to be personal. The power behind it and why it works. But today's on routine, so there's your morning routine, and that's maybe 45 minutes, not including your own, like eating breakfast, getting showered. So the part nobody likes to hear, but maybe the first step to success is getting up a little earlier. But it makes a huge difference. An hour a day over a year, it gives you a month over everybody else, an extra month that you gained over everybody else. So there's your personal routine. That's our start the day routine. The next one is called the market knowledge routine. Now we're by the way, no emails, no text, no social media. The first thing a lot of people do is they wake up and they look at their emails and their social media, and there's 18 things wrong. Some escrow's got a problem, some agent has something, a client's canceling something, and it takes you right out of your positive place. I guarantee you, whatever that issue is, whatever that fire is going to be the exact same temperature 3 hours from now. Most agents don't even start their day until 10 o'clock in the morning, right? I mean, most of you agree with me? Don't look. All it's going to do is mess up the things that you're doing to put yourself in a really positive place. All right, so then the market knowledge routine, Steve. We come into the office. The first thing you do is look at your cheat sheet, not your cheat sheet, your hot sheet. What's happened in my market? Because I'm the expert in my market. So 10 minutes to make sure you know any of the latest moves, pendings, new listings, and solds. That's the entire market routine. And it's a great opportunity to shoot a quick video with your phone. We talk about getting out 1 or 2 videos a day. There you are looking at, just turn your phone on and say, hey, I'm looking at, the banana community, and wow, only 4 new listings and 5 went pending. This market is hot if you're a seller. Give me a call if you have any questions about what's happening. You put that out. Any thoughts on marketing knowledge routine?
Well, I just feel that those that we perceive to know more than us influence us. So if you have the basics down, and I think that, if I were, what I teach my agents is know your absorption rate, know your month supply of inventory. Those two categories will help you have an intelligent, informed conversation with someone. And those are the two categories that if I ask, most agents at any given moment, you have an 80-20 rule asserts itself in everything, right? So the top 20% know the answer to that question. The 80%, the hobbyists, they don't. And so chances are more likely than not that any one of your clients or potential clients are going to come across a hobbyist. And when you start speaking in a way, look, Mr. and Miss Seller, the current absorption rate or the current month supply of inventory is X. And what that means is it's a simple thing that if you know that number week after week after week will allow you to inform your clients where the market is moving. The rest of it, they know more about the rest of it than you do because they've been searching for a house for 3 weeks. They know every home that's on the market in Happy Hollow Estates. You don't. But what you do know is statistical information that tells them how to set themselves up strategically. And that's when they see that and feel that, that's when they become attached to you because they perceive you to know more than they do.
You've differentiated yourself.
Differentiate yourself. In two categories. What's the month supply of inventory? What's the absorption rate? Every top producing agent should know that.
Absolutely. We have to know our numbers.
It's not that big a stat, it's not, but it's important because most people don't.
So that's a 10-minute routine that differentiate yourself, like Steve just said, from all the other agents. Then we go into our confidence dialogues. Every morning we spend a routine of, say, 20 minutes max. You're practicing a confidence dialogue, for those who don't know, is a script. Everybody kind of makes this face when you say script. It's a dialogue that's going to bring you a lot of confidence when you're talking to people. Every week, practice one. Spend 10 minutes practicing it. Spend 10 minutes role playing with someone else in your office. There's such an advantage. Confidence dialogues are an actual skill, right? There's a lot of things that we can't get better at just through practice in real estate. But that skill, we can. You can practice that every single day and become phenomenal in your responses. And the best part of it is just like what Steve said, going back to shaving. If I already know what I'm going to say, I don't have to sit and think about it while the other person's talking. I become an active listener. I engage my client at a level that they're not used to seeing. And it differentiates you again.
Right. And if you know the bullets, Sean, one of the things that, when I coach or if I'm known for anything, it's people say, well, you're a great wordsmith. You know how to string a sentence together. That's impressive. And I find that I fell into that trap too, because I would see people like yourself or great coaches role modeling a dialogue. And I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but it's kind of an important one here, is I just wanted to write down that script rather than listen for the bullet point you're trying to make. If you understand the point you want to make, the dialogue will be there. You will practice it. It will get better and better. But if you know that you have great value at Compass because of a particular asset or tool that we have, then that's the point you want to make in a conversation with the client, and the words will be there. So when you look at somebody role modeling or getting clear on their scripts or their goals, try to find the bullet, and everything else kind of falls into place. Don't try to sit there and listen to a master present and try to write down word for word what they're saying, because not even the master can repeat that script identically.
Right. Can never say it twice the same way.
Never.
That's another one we'll have to do an Inside the Huddle on. I'm with you 100%. When people hear scripts, or like I said, I changed it to confidence dialogues because scripts seems to put people off. Everyone says, that doesn't sound like me. I wouldn't talk that way. I know. It's not supposed to sound like you. You memorize it. You internalize it.
Right.
And you can begin to customize it. It's not going to sound like that script when you do deliver it, but you can't deliver it until it's become internalized to you. And when you see really people who are really good at scripts, like you said, Steve, you're not even sure where the script started or ended.
Right.
They're not even sure because it's all internalized. So
yeah, because I get that. How many times have you gotten that, or anyone on the call who's ever presented? Someone say, "Can you go back and say that again?" You go, "What did I say?"
Right. No, because now I'm thinking about it.
Right, because you're seeing clearly what's in front of you, not what's, this is, if I could just take a second here, one of the challenges that will be a byproduct of seeing clearly is that one of the difficult parts is that when you see clearly, you see your failures, I should say, in a very exacting way. And that's when people start to shut down, because we kind of, you've got to know that every time you see so clearly that you can spot your failures in an exacting way, you're learning. And you just got to keep moving forward, right? So
right.
I just want to make that a point, that as the clearer you see everything more clearly. And when you see your failures clearly, then it can be a demotivator. It was for me. I had to Jesus, I suck at everything I'm trying to do here. Well, what can I do better today? It goes back to the affirmation statement. Today, I will master this one thing. I will do this better. I will not put negative thoughts in my head. That's a routine.
You have to really take that to heart. Yeah. That what you're saying, when something I made a big point of when I coach kids is reminding them constantly that nobody learns anything when they win. Winning feels good. Winning is good. But losing is when you get to learn, and try to take all the stigma off of losing or falling down and realize this is an opportunity, because we have to appreciate exactly what you're saying. Clarity brings clarity also on where we're falling down. Right. And you have to celebrate that, not have it demotivate. Right. Great point. Okay, so we did the morning routine, our market knowledge, practice what we're going to say. So, of course, the next routine is one name for it is the hour routine. The first thing in the morning, before the world has had a chance to screw up your day, you generate business for the future. Whether it's get on the phone, talk to friends and family, you're going door knocking, somehow 1 hour of our day, which isn't very much, 1 hour of our day should be completely dedicated on making sure I have business 2 months from now. There's a lot of ways to do it, right? Where I'm not getting into what you have to do. You have to be a cold calling person. No, not at all. But you have to focus 1 hour a day on generating business. And really 1 hour a day, Steve, you'd probably say, not like to see more, but that's a minimum. You agree? Yeah.
Well, I minimum. There's nothing more important there. I'll just be very brief here. There's nothing more valuable than you mastering a listing presentation for your career. I believe that with all my heart. Nothing is more important than mastering a listing presentation. When you've mastered a listing presentation, you can't sit still. You want to present that. And so that's why it's so important what we're talking about here. If you can master anything, master that, it will lead you to take action. So, Sean, I just had to throw that in there. No goals, no motivation.
Right.
If you don't have goals, if you master that, that's your goal, then you're motivated to achieve that, and then you have an outcome, and it's about getting coached to different outcomes. But
make sure you can stay in the business long enough. Once you've mastered it, you better have somebody to go. You got
to be prospecting. I mean, That's the whole thing. So that's the point. That's the bow I failed to tie on there. If I master that, then I want to go out and execute that. And that can only come from me being completely dedicated to at least 1 to 2 hours of lead generation, prospecting, whatever you want to call it. It's not an ugly word. It's the fuel for your business.
Absolutely. And there's, before we go on, Chris Lawson posted in the notes, in the messages, about a report that he gets that he's offering anybody who would like to see it. So go ahead and take a look in there. Awesome. If you'd like to receive that, put it in the messages. So yes, back to, and ideally what we want to have, guys, is enough people in our own sphere. Imagine this, imagine having 600 people in your sphere, which over a 2-year period, if we're focused on it, you will have. Then when people say, what do you do for a living? Well, I go into my office and I go through my routines, and then I get on the phone and I chat with friends for an hour or two. Yeah, but what do you do for a living? I chat with friends for an hour or two. They pay you for that? Yeah, $500,000, $750,000 a year. That's a great job. That's our focus. Keep talking to people until your sphere's big enough that all you're doing every day is checking in. What's going on in their life? How can you help them? And every now and then they'll raise their hand with a real estate question. And good, we do that for them. It's not pressure. We're not selling people. Okay, so those are the 4 routines, and again, I think this is important. Some will disagree, and that's okay. It's your routine, but those 4 routines, your morning, your market knowledge, your role play, and then your prospecting, those all happen before anything else happens. You still haven't gotten into your emails, your text. You certainly haven't gotten on social media. This is the 4 things that begin my day. And when I take care of them, everything else takes care of itself. Then I can become public facing and start dealing with the fires and the things going on and escrows and CMAs and whatever we have to do. You have to trust yourself. Trust us for now. Get through that morning part before anybody can reach in and start messing with your day.
Yeah.
It will change your entire life.
It's a good point. It's the 3-foot rule. Don't let anybody within 3 feet of you that's not there to support you in that initiative at that moment. That's one of the simplest things you can learn for yourself, is that if I'm in the prospecting mode, or I'm in gratitude mode, or I'm in routinizing something, if you will, whatever I'm doing to master that, whoever is in with, I won't let anyone within 3 feet of me unless they're there to support me on that initiative. That's awesome. To protect your time. I mean, it's really important.
So the last 2 routines, Steve hinted at these, and this is stuff really works for a psychological reason. The 5th one is your end of day routine. Before we close the shop, before you turn the sign that says closed, clear your desk. Get rid of the things you can get rid of, delegate the stuff you can delegate, stack the rest of it in order of how you're going to attack it, but clear it off your desk, and then put out the 10 people you're going to call first thing tomorrow in your hour of power. The reason this works is the night before, when you're ending your day, you're all fired up. Boy, tomorrow I'm going to make these calls and I'm going to get 3 appointments, because you don't have to do it right then. You're very confident about doing it, right? But when it's time to do it, that's when every one of us, that the most dangerous 2 seconds in the world is the 2 seconds before you pick up the phone, before you knock on the door. All of a sudden we think of 15 other things we should be doing. So don't allow that to happen. Already have it out and ready on your desk. When you come in and you go through your routines and it gets time to, if you're going to make calls, there they are. Nothing to prepare, nothing to do, nothing to get in the way, and you can just start. There's a great book called 7 Levels of Communication. In that book, they refer to it as the first and 10. The first 10 calls, first and 10. Lay them out. Use your own psychology to benefit you by setting it up the night before. End of day.
Yeah.
Like making the bed in the morning, clearing the desk at night, right? The last routine, oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, being that precise just allows you to focus on what's important. When you could get a call from a client that's trying to draw you off the rails because they don't like something they saw in the inspection they did yesterday. It could be any number of things. But the life is not set up to help you succeed, and it's going to do everything it can to derail you from your objectives, your goals. Just know that. So the advantage of being precise in what your day is going to be and how it's going to look is that you are essentially focusing on only what's important, and all the crisis management has its place, because there's not a thing that's going to come into your world at 5 o'clock in the morning, or in my world at 4:30 in the morning. Nothing will show up in my inbox that can't wait until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or even 11 o'clock for that matter. Nothing. And if it's an emergency, people know how to tug on your cape. So just know that. But that's the beauty of following these routines that you just outlined, Sean. It's about not letting a crisis upend your process.
It almost redefines what a crisis is. I mean, is it actually a crisis, or is it just something that's on fire? Is it important, or is it loud? Because those are 2 very different things. And the final routine, it's the same psychology again, and it's exactly, Steve, what you talked about, is your end of night, your nighttime routine, your before bed routine. There's certain things you can do to put your mind calm, to set yourself up again for the next day. Steve checks his calendar so he knows what he's going to be doing. He doesn't have to worry or be wondering as he goes to bed. Lay out your workout gear. Again, that same reason. The night before, I'm fired up to work out in the morning. But if you get up in the morning and you haven't laid it out and you can't find one of your shoes or something's in the dryer, man, it just takes that one thing. I can't find my sock. Oh, screw it. I'm not going to work out today. Lay it out. Make it easy. You're halfway through getting dressed and out the door before you realize what you're doing. Make it easy for yourself. Stop all screen time an hour before bed. No more TV, no more phone. There's a blue light that comes off these screens that tells your brain that it's daytime. If you want to get a good night's sleep, read a book, do a puzzle, and get off the screens. There's things you've heard. A cool, dark room is really good. And the other one, when I'm talking to a lot of agents, Steve, they talk about, well, I know I'd like to get up earlier, so I try to go to bed earlier, but then I just lay there because I'm wide awake. Don't dictate your day by bedtime. Just start getting up at the new time you want to get up. After a day or two, your body will naturally start sending you to bed earlier. But if you try going to bed early first, you're just going to lay there wondering, this is stupid. Sean and Steve don't know what they're talking about. And we're not the last thought you want to have in your head, believe me.
No. There's a funny thing, Sean, that I saw yesterday, and I would encourage, because it is a tea leaf into what it means to be successful. And I saw a video yesterday that was making the rounds on social media of Tom Brady throwing a football into a jugs machine. Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Some people are wondering if it's even real. It's so amazing.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. I saw that. I go, is that just doctored video? I mean, this guy's like standing 20 yards, 15 yards from a jugs machine. And for those of you that don't know what a jugs machine is, they use them in baseball. They use them in football to simulate a pitcher or a quarterback throwing a football. So they're used in practice in sports or in professional sports. I want you to envision this machine 15, 20 yards down the field, and Tom Brady stands in front of it and throws a direct strike right down the center of this thing, and it throws the football right back at him. He turns around, throws it again, perfect shot, throws it right back at him. Then he moves back, I think, about 5 or 10 yards, 30, and because now he's got so much inertia and is throwing that far, he actually tips the machine over. My point is that looks like, it's like Tiger Woods. We all saw that where he was bouncing the ball in the club and then he just turns around and whacks it like a baseball swing perfectly. The only way you can pull that off is to do something so repetitively over and over and over again. And when you're done, you're doing it again and again and again, is by following routine, process. And I will tell you that, at 40 whatever years old, Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl last year, when people didn't give him a shot, just goes to show you that nothing is more powerful than following routine, because it makes your behaviors, your actions predictable, and
your success makes your success predictable.
So while it looks like a fun video and it's cool and is it real, is it not? It's an insight. It's just a glimpse into the monotony of that guy's day. Can you imagine how monotonous his day is, day after day, to do the same thing over and over and over again until you can do that?
It's the truth. Got it. And that's the routine. It's not thinking about it, it's just doing it. All right, I know we're over time, so Steve and I, as always, are going to stick around for a few minutes if there's questions or discussion, but anybody who's ready to go, we know we're over our time. We appreciate you guys being here. The comments, questions, and right now, fire away if you have any thoughts or anything you want to add to this. The thing you're talking about, Steve, I refer to as the tedium of success.
Right. Most
people can actually do what's required to be successful. What they can't handle is the boredom.
Well, that's it, because they want something new. They want to move on before they've mastered that basic, whatever that is. They're good, but they're not great at it. And once they get good, they just want to move on. The problem is someone who's great at anything will take you out.
It's my favorite quote, Tony Gwynn. How are you such a great hitter? I hit a ball off a tee 100 times a day. Yeah. Every day, 365, never misses, or never did. 100 balls a day off a tee. How boring is that?
Well, and how hard is it, right? So that
you're
in the Hall of Fame if you bat 300. Let's be clear about that. You're a professional baseball player if you go 2 out of 10. You're batting 200. You'll make it to the minor leagues. Hell, you'll even be in the major leagues. You go 1 for 10, and no one knows who you are because you're not even in for consideration. So the margin between success and the routine of someone like Toby Gwynn, and again, remember how hard it is to have someone standing 60 feet away from you throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastball. You know, it would be fun if you could just stand in the box and just realize how scared you'd be watching this thing come buzzing at you like a bullet.
That's on my bucket list. I just want to hear a fastball. I want to stand in the box and hear it.
Well, when you can hear the pop of a glove, when you're 40 rows up in a stadium that's filled with 70,000 people, that tells me all I need to know. But anyhow, it really is about just the routines again, and when you routine your day or you routinize your day, things become predictable. And I think the advantage again of what we talked about today, Sean, and wrapping up, I guess, if there's no questions, is that it's important to see what you do well. It's just as important to see what you're not doing well, and then it allows you to course correct. So being precise and saying, this is how I started my day. Did I achieve those objectives? What was I successful at? What was I not? And as long as you're focusing on the 2 or 3 big things, that if you accomplish those things, everything else in the rest of your day wouldn't be as important, would fall into place. You're going to incrementally keep moving forward, and you'll tackle them all.
I agree. And the takeaway I'll leave on this, if you want success to become routine, then you have to take on the routines that lead to success. That's all we're doing here.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go. Love you guys
everybody.
being here. Reach out if you have any questions. Everybody have an amazing day. Thanks, Steve.
Peace out.